Your patients are fee sensitive. Everybody's fee sensitive. But you know what? They think your fees are high no matter what they are. If your
That's
crown
true.
is $1,300, that's outrageous. If your crown is $1,600, that's outrageous. So I'd rather be $1,600 outrageous than $1,300 outrageous. If you haven't raised your fees in a year, you are falling behind. You're actually going backwards. So let's look at our fees, evaluate them, raise them, and just get on with it. You know
Yeah.
what? Dentistry, high quality dentistry is an incredible value. You've earned it. You deserve it. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Everybody expects fees to go up. And again, your patients don't have your fee schedule. They don't know what your fees are, and they think you're expensive anyway.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry look like to you? I'm Katie Polson, a dental hygienist and your host.
Welcome to Growth in Dentistry. I am Katie Polson, and we are continuing. It's 2023. We're recording this in 2022, but we're looking forward to the new year. I'm looking forward to all things that we're coming up on 2023, and just grateful to be able to continue the show and to be able to have such a great dental community. So for those of you that are first-time listeners, just wanted to welcome you. This is a great little podcast that we do here at Dental Intelligence. The goal is really to just give actionable advice when we're by solving a problem, talking to consultants, key opinion leaders in the industry. We also have some other great episodes that are deep dive episodes that have a lot to do with some of our top 10% of our practices who are great in some certain metrics. They come on the show. We do a deep dive into how they got to those metrics. I highly recommend checking those out. There's some really great little awesome nuggets in there as well. And then also, if you are in a group dentistry or DSO space, we've got some shows for you as well. So there's a lot to check out on our podcast page. So I'd recommend to go do that. If you are a fan of Facebook and are a place that's where you hang out, we'd love for you to come join our dental intelligence community. We have like-minded data nerds that come and talk about analytics and automation and engagement and how that applies to your practice. It's a great space to be. If you don't have dental intelligence and you want to see what it can do for you in your practice, I'd recommend going to get.dentalintel.com/podcast to get $50 when you complete a demo. So special listeners will get a special gift card. So that link will also be in our show notes. So without further ado, we don't have a lot of time to get to all of the stuff that we want to talk about. And I want to introduce our wonderful guest, Dr. Richard Madow. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you taking the time out. And for those of you that are just listening, he's got this amazing background setup. Looks like he's in a great studio. So
well, other than being in dentistry, I love playing music and writing songs and doing all those things. So maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
I doubt it because we're here to we're here to talk about some great things to help your
dental for you. Well,
today,
for Dr. Madow, tell us. As a hygienist, I have a hard time. I'm going to call you Dr. Madow unless you tell me otherwise. But
please call me Rich.
Okay, Rich. Tell the listeners that may not be familiar with you or the work that you've done in the community a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for the opportunity to do that. I'll start at the beginning. I'll try to make it really fast because I could drag the story out forever. But I'm an actual dentist, and for the past 30 years, I've been writing, blogging, recording, coaching, and consulting with other dental practices across the country, speaking at seminars. I mean, I've appeared at hundreds and hundreds of seminars all across North America, all the big ones, the small ones, everything in between. It's been so much fun. But I'll just tell you a tiny bit about how I got started doing this. I graduated University of Maryland Dental School in 1984. Did an incredible general practice residency at Mount Sinai Medical Center in Miami Beach for 1 year. So that took me through 1985. Much to the disbelief of everybody in Miami Beach, I moved back to my hometown of Baltimore after finishing there and had two horrible associateships. I mean, just horrible. One was actually so bad that the dentist fired me in the middle of the night and was too much of a wuss to actually fire me. So he changed the locks, knowing that I'd be the first one in the next day. I reported to work.
Gosh.
And it was so funny because it was kind of a blue collar practice and there were like emergency patients waiting outside to get in. And my key didn't fit. And I had to say, oh, I think the lock's jammed. And I just drove off into the sunset crying. But anyway, short time after that, I located a practice to purchase, and it was actually a bankrupt practice. So, some people start from scratch, some people purchase a small practice. In all my great wisdom, I purchased a practice that was actually in the red. So I was losing money before the first day. Um, and strangely enough, my oldest brother, Dave, is a dentist as well. He's 4 years older, 4 academic years older than I am. So he went through a very similar thing, just 4 years earlier than I had. And he actually opened up a partnership from scratch. So he opened up with 0 patients and a partner. So it's like having 0 patients divided by 2, if that's possible. Mm-hmm. So we were both in, a very tough beginning situation. And we were growing our practices. We were doing a lot of meeting up, brainstorming, forming study clubs, just doing everything we could to help each other and our fellow dentists brainstorm ways to improve our practices. We kind of took the opposite attitude of, hey, things are so competitive. Don't tell anybody your trade secrets. And we really love sharing our secrets with everyone. So one of the things that we did, we got together and we designed this collection form, just a piece of paper that was very official looking, and we mailed it to our patients who weren't paying their bills on time. And for some reason, this form worked so well. We called it the magic form. People actually showed up the next day, cash in hand, after they got this form in the mail, peeling off $100 bills at the front desk. It was awesome. And one day at the beach, we were vacationing with our respective families and our kids. I think Dave and I went up to the boardwalk to get some sunscreen and wound up having a beer and saying, you know what, this collection form thing really works well. There might be some kind of business here. So we took out a P.O. box, bought an old pickup truck, the whole story, like it actually happened in those days, and did a very small mailing trying to sell our collection forms and our business forms to our fellow dentists. Fast forward a year, we have 30,000 customers across the country utilizing our collection forms. And it wasn't just dentists. Somehow, like optometrists and funeral homes and florists found out about this. It was really a magical and fun time. And because of that, we were getting some notoriety in dentistry. So I was asked to write some articles in Dental Economics and some of the other free journals, which was really fun. Then we were asked to lecture at some local study clubs, and things just grew and grew and grew to larger seminars. We had our own newsletter for many, many years, writing, blogging, voted leaders in dental continuing education by Dentistry Today. All that stuff has led to where we are today, many years later, still speaking, still actively writing and coaching dental practices all across the US. And it's been so much fun. And one of the things we always stress is that although your KPIs are extremely important, as anybody at Dental Intel can tell you, it's also really important to have fun, to love your job, to enjoy going in every single day, to be a part of the community, to do fantastic things for patients who love you, to be around the team that you actually want to work with. Those things are just as important, if not more important, than economic success. So that's where we are 30 years down the road,
that's
still
awesome.
doing it, still loving it. It's been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. Just what a great story. And I love that you went with that mindset of just helping the community, right? To make it a better space for everyone, instead of kind of holding those secrets that you and your brother kind of figured out together. And I love, because if we lift others, then we lift the entire industry. So that's awesome.
Agree. It's really weird. Back in those days, we actually lived on the same street. We lived 2 houses apart. So there was one house in between us. Yeah, we were constantly going back and forth, and we didn't realize it at the time, but we were setting up our own very small mastermind community, just the 2 of us. Then we expanded that to dentists in our community, then specialists, and then we even got some non-dentists who were sharp business people involved. And as you know, as you just stated, sharing ideas is so much better than trying to keep things to yourself. And I think that's how we became well known as speakers and consultants, because we want to share our ideas with everyone and learn from everyone too.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of knowledge, and I'm excited to dig into all of it. We're excited to take all of your knowledge and put it to use here. So as we are in 2023, and I think this is a pretty common problem that people are trying to solve at the beginning of the year, is cash flow, and like figuring out like how to manage their cash flow a little bit better. And quite honestly, I'm in enough like groups online as my job in marketing here at Dental Intelligence, that's kind of my job, is to know like the pulse of the industry. And I feel like they're even more so, I think, at this time of year than normal. I think people are really trying to figure out where they can cut costs. And then I don't know what, who knows? I don't know. Recession, hiring, who knows? I don't know what the problem is, but I do know that it seems a little bit more noisy in that space than in the years past. So I'm excited to get into your opinions and ideas on what people can do. And you wrote this amazing blog that I love, some great points on how to reduce cash flow for 2023. So what we're just going to start with the top, and you're going to walk us through it, and I hope that if you're listening, we're going to get into it. I love that we're recording this, so you can go back and take notes if something really, really sticks out to you. And this is going to be a little bit longer form podcast than we typically do in the past, because there's just so much great information there. So let's get into it, Rich, with starting with collections. And I just for listeners that ahead of time, I'm going to go through all the things we're going to talk about, and that way they kind of have an idea of like an outline, and then we'll kind of go from there. So we're going to talk about collections, fees, fluoride, sealants, credit card fees, your lease, quiet expenses, paid up front, team, and advice from an accountant. So we're in for a real treat. So let's get into collections.
And then after we do those 10 things, that's when the real fun happens, because I'm going to answer your dental intelligence questions in a way that I think will really benefit everyone.
Awesome.
So again, thanks so much for having me. I made this list, and it was a really popular blog, and we got together somehow and we said, let's talk about it. And one of the things about cutting expenses is that some people will come up with these extravagant schemes to help you cut expenses. And some of them actually involve equipment purchases. And I'm saying, you know what? We don't want to spend money to try to cut expenses. That can backfire. So we're going to talk about some just really simple things that anybody can do, a list of 10 of them, and then we'll even do more fun stuff after that. But all these things are easy. They work. They're practically free. Now, are you going to cut $500,000 from your overhead in 2023 by doing these? No, but you'll cut enough that it'll be worth it. And it's easier to cut expenses sometimes than produce and collect more. So with that mindset, you mentioned collections is the first thing we're going to talk about. And obviously this is something that's near and dear to me, because as I just explained before, our entire business got started by developing a collection form. So no matter how hard we try to collect up front, just about every dentist has some accounts receivable or owed money by patients. And the old advice will be, okay, it's a new year. What you need to do is go through all your records and find the name of every single patient who owes you money, and then do it alphabetically. Start with Aaron Aardvark and call him, and keep calling until you finally get to Zelda Zweiback. And then, by then you will have taken care of all your collections. Well, that's a really inefficient way to do it. So I'm going to suggest that, yes, it's really important to get on top of your collections, but let's do it kind of strategically instead of just contacting every patient. I mean, if you do it the old fashioned way, you could be contacting a patient who's owed you money for 5 years and they owe you $45. You're never going to see that. So why are we wasting our time on that person? Let's do it strategically. So first, we'll just go through our database and make a list of everybody that owes you money. But then when we start contacting them, let's do it in kind of reverse chronological order, because the people who have owed you money for the least amount of time are certainly the most likely to pay. And then let's also kind of subdivide that into people who owe you the most money. Not that we want to let people get away with ripping you off, but how much time are we going to invest into somebody that owes you $12? So let's strategically order this. People who are the freshest, so to speak, who have owed you money for the least amount of time, and then also who have owed you the most amount of money. Now we're going to start by calling them. Call them. Now you got to be careful about what kind of phone messages you leave, because no one's going to answer the phone. So just like saying something like, hey, this is Katie calling from Dr. Smith's office. It's really important that you call us as soon as possible. Kind of leave it vague, a little mysterious. And hopefully they'll call you back and you'll be able to just have a frank conversation and let them know that they owe you money. Many people will pay. Some people just won't pay. Some people aren't going to pay. And let's not let this ruin I've been speaking at seminars before. Somebody will raise their hand and say, I've got a horrible problem. For 4 years, this patient's owed me $22 and it's just driving me crazy. It's like, sometimes you just have to let it go. So let's start with our biggest offenders, the freshest collections, start calling and get them to pay. And, a lot of people, they want to pay, but they're balancing bills, juggling bills. They're not sure which ones to pay. So if you contact them and let them know that, hey, you got to pay up, man, they're going to do it. If you don't contact them, then you'll get to the bottom of the pile again. And of course, if there are people who just aren't paying, no matter how old the accounts, and you just don't know what else to do, send them my collection forms. You can get them at Madow.com. I don't want to be too commercial, but MADOW.com. You can send them our collection forms. But let's hope it doesn't get to that.
Yeah.
And then again, don't drive yourself nuts. At a certain point, just move on.
Yeah, and this is a podcast sponsored by Dental Intelligence. That doesn't mean that our solutions are the best. I mean, there's other options out there. However, our payment solution, like as you're talking about collections, we have an accounts receivable management solution, right? It picks up, and the way that we do it, the same thing. Let's focus on the ones that owe you money the first, right? And then go out from there. That's a great solution. And we obviously encourage people to text, right? But
absolutely,
yeah, because that just reduces people's having to, like the manpower to pick up the phone. But obviously, you're gonna get some accounts that you're gonna have to pick up the phone.
Yeah, I like
call.
phone. I mean, texting is great, but also people just assume when you get a text about something like that, it's being done by an automated system, which is easier to ignore, obviously.
Totally.
When they hear a voice, and maybe even a voice they recognize, puts a whole lot more weight into it, in my opinion.
Okay, so let's go. That was some great information on collections. Let's move into fees.
As cliched as it sounds, because you hear it all the time. When is the last time you raised your fees? I know people are concerned about, an economic crisis and inflation and uncertainty and the stock market's down and all those things. All those things are true, but look, there's inflation. Everybody's raising their fees. McDonald's is raising their fees. I don't know. I don't go to McDonald's, but I'm assuming they're raising their prices, right? Everybody's raising their prices, and you should too. And the fact is, with inflation being where it is, if you don't raise your fees, you're doing worse than breaking even. You're going downhill. So let's raise our fees across the board. And when you talk about raising your fees, dentists will always come back and say, I can't do it. My patients are fee sensitive. My patients are fee sensitive. To which I say, you know what? True. Your patients are fee sensitive. Everybody's fee sensitive. But you know what? They think your fees are high no matter what they are. If your crown is $1,300, that's outrageous. If your crown is $1,600, that's outrageous. So I'd rather be $1,600 outrageous than $1,300 outrageous. If you haven't raised your fees in a year, you are falling behind. You're actually going backwards. So let's look at our fees, evaluate them, raise them, and just get on with it. You know what? Dentistry, high quality dentistry is an incredible value. You've earned it. You deserve it. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Everybody expects fees to go up. And again, your patients don't have your fee schedule. They don't know what your fees are, and they think you're expensive anyway. So boom.
I love that
there you
advice.
Go.
That's such great advice. You're right. They don't know. They don't know what the cost of a cleaning is, out of pocket.
Agree. Everybody knows a gallon of gas and maybe an avocado, but other than that, I don't think we really know things cost.
So true. Yeah. Awesome. Well, these next two, fluoride and sealants, are near and dear to my heart, just because that's where I live in preventative dentistry land. So talk to us a little bit about fluoride.
Yeah, let's talk about adult fluoride. Again, are you going to increase your collections by $700,000 next year if you start doing more adult fluoride? No, but your collections will go up and you'll have healthier patients. And that's kind of one of our themes, that when our patients get healthier, our practice does better. So what the heck? Why wouldn't we want all of our adult patients to get fluoride? Well, I'll tell you why we don't want all of our adult patients to get fluoride, because it's easier just to finish the prophy or whatever their perio maintenance and let them go so you can move on to the next patient. Yes, it's easier, but you're not doing what's best for the patient. So it's time to have that brief, easy conversation with every single adult patient about the benefits of fluoride. So I like to first of all, do it very quickly. And there are kind of two opposite strategies that work together. And one is the universal / social proof thing, where you'll just say to your patient, hey, we've got this great service. It's fluoride. And just to just about all of our adult patients take advantage of this. So boom, there's social proof. You're telling them that most of your adult patients get it. So everybody wants to do what everybody else does. So that's the social proof part. But then make it individual. Tell them something about their mouth. You know what? We just did those 2 crowns. They look great. That's a significant investment, and we want them to last as long as possible. And even though the crowns fit beautifully, there's a little microscopic area where bacteria and decay can get in. So let's make sure that we zap that with as much fluoride as we possibly can. That way your crowns will last long, or that big filling might not need a crown as soon if we do it. So again, universal. People, everybody's doing it. It must be good. You know, like 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong, right? As his old album was called. Everybody's doing it. It must be good. Then make it personal. Those 2 crowns you just got were a significant investment. Let's make them last as long as possible. And again, don't charge an outrageous fee for fluoride. Even though I just talked about raising your fees, fluoride is an uncovered service. Just, you know, just make it a very moderate fee that most people can afford. And boom, your adult fluoride coverage will go way, way up. And then healthier patients, healthier revenue. You know, when we work with our clients, and we use Dental Intel for most of our coaching clients, I'm happy to say, we look at things like perio percentage and fluoride percentage, and they're just always
They're always
low.
Yeah.
Always low. Let's get our patients healthy and let's increase our revenues at the same time. And fluoride's a simple way to do it.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that also the communication that I have found success in offering adult fluoride is just that I do fluoride on me every 6 months, like, and I want to offer that to you, right? Like just because insurance doesn't cover it doesn't mean that it's something that you shouldn't have. And
Right.
that seemed to that, oh, okay, like maybe I should have that, you know? So
Yeah. And again, this is a whole different conversation, one that we certainly don't have time for today. But I swear, every single time a dentist or a team member comes up to me and says, "Oh, our patients are totally insurance driven. Our patients only want what insurance covers. Our patients, insurance, insurance, insurance." It always starts with the office. I was in an office one time and they had their schedule printed out for the day in each of the treatment rooms. And under each patient's name, it talked about what their insurance coverage was. And then they're telling me our patients only want what insurance covers. Well, no wonder. You're running your practice based on this. So we have to get out of the insurance mindset before we ever expect our patients to.
Oh, that's such great advice. I love that. Okay, let's talk about sealants.
All right, and we can spend 30 seconds on sealants because it's pretty much the exact same conversation and strategy as fluoride. When sealants are appropriate, they're an incredible service. So why aren't we doing them? We're not doing them because they're not covered by insurance. I guarantee if sealants were covered by insurance for adults in every circumstance, nobody would say no to them.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want a little coating of hard plastic covering up those nasty crevices? Everybody would want that. So this is purely a financial / insurance issue. So let's take the same tactic as we just talked about with fluoride and get our adult patients to do sealants.
And change your mindset, right? As a hygienist, you for sure could have that mindset shift and be looking for those and having those conversations before the dentist even comes in, so that, you know, like, oh, looks like this is a place where, you know, Dr. So-and-so would do a sealant. Have that conversation. He comes in, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing it. You know, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Katie, I think what you just said merits a little bit of going over because it was so important. I love it when the hygienist and the dentist have a rapport where it's the built-in second opinion. I mean, I know legally
we can't
you're not allowed
diagnose.
to diagnose.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, a great hygienist can diagnose better than many dentists I've met. Let's face it. You can't diagnose, but you can certainly say, you know what, this is an old filling, it's breaking down. I'm pretty sure a doctor's going to recommend what's called a crown here. So please take advantage of that built-in second opinion. Don't wait for the doctor to come in and say this needs a crown, and then you walk out of the room and they're looking at the hygienist like, what's going on here? You know, set the tone, give the built-in second opinion. I think in some cases the hygienist is maybe even trusted more than the dentist. So great thing. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Okay, let's talk about credit card fees, because we're in the land of starting, well, not starting, we've been in payments and we have a great payment solution and engagement, but we talk about credit card fees a lot over here. So I'm interested for your advice on it.
Yeah, I love talking about credit card fees because these days such a high percentage of our patients are using credit cards to pay. And we love it when patients use credit cards to pay because, as you know, the money goes into your account. And whatever happens, if the patient wants to pay 85% interest or whatever those loan sharks are charging, it's not our problem.
Right.
I love to get paid upfront, whether it's by the patient, by a credit card, by a healthcare credit card, whatever it is. And then we're out of the equation and the patient can pay it off at any rate they want. So we love credit cards. We encourage credit cards. Credit cards come with fees, of course. They're well worth it. No matter how much you're paying for your credit card fees, if you're using the worst credit card fee person in the world, it's probably still worth it because we love it when our patients whip out ye old credit card. But you know, at the Madow Center, we also have a lot of our people, our coaching clients, when we do seminars and product sales and all that, just about everything we do is charged through credit cards these days. So we have a really significant amount of income coming in every month through credit cards. So a few years ago, we were approached by, they were kind of a startup at the time, this company that said, hey, we're just starting to get into the dental space. Can you recommend our company to your dental clients? And of course, as with everything else, we say we'd love to, but we just can't blindly recommend a company. We need to vet your company first. And in many cases, that would, like for a lab, for example, I would talk to a bunch of dentists using that lab. But in this case, I said, well, you know what? Why don't we use your credit card processing company at the Madow Center, and we'll see how we like it. And then if we like it, we will recommend it to our clients. So are all credit card processing companies the same? Pretty much. But actually, this company, they're called Stacks, S-T-A-X, came in with a great value proposition, and that is they do not charge a monthly overage percentage. Now, I don't know if there's anybody else doing this in credit card processing. Maybe your partner is, I don't know. But when a patient pays with a credit card, you've got to pay Visa, MasterCard, Amex, whatever. But then you've got to pay the credit card processor a percentage, and that can add up. And Stacks came in and said, you know what? We don't charge that percentage. It's called an overage percentage. We don't charge it. We just charge a low, flat monthly fee. Every month, your payment for processing is going to be the same. And they told us the figure, it was like mind-bogglingly low. Is that a word, mind-bogglingly?
Sure.
I don't know. It is now. It was mind-bogglingly low. So we said, sure, we'll try Stacks. And we switched. The switch was seamless. We used them for a few months, and we were saving thousands and thousands of dollars. It's funny, I actually just wrote a promo piece for them and determined that with the money I saved over the last 3 years, I just went out and bought a BMW SUV and paid cash for it. So I love it when you can say something like that. And it's really true. It's really true.
I would totally agree. And I mean, I'm familiar with the company Stacks, and I would agree that there are, in my opinion, gone are the days of all of the little stack up fees. You know, we've got our processing fee and then our monthly annual fee. Like there's just so many different fees within your processing. And part of that is really hard to know how much you're paying. So Stacks, we also offer a flat rate fee. Like there's enough companies out there that offer flat rate that if you don't have that in your suite of like what you offer for a credit card, there's enough that there's a solution out there that's flat rate, and then you know exactly what you're paying every month.
Totally agree. So we do have a site, and I'm not trying to be too pluggy here, but if you want to find out more about it, you can go to madow.com/save, SAVE, and contact Stacks, and they'll set you up, and you'll be paying a flat rate. Or of course, if you want to use the Dental Intel partner, Katie just confirmed their flat rate. I'm sure they're great as well. So
it's 2.59% every time, no problem. Like it's pretty great. So that's
an overage percentage. Stacks doesn't charge that.
Stacks doesn't. There's nothing else. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is, Stacks doesn't charge a percentage at all. It's just a flat.
Well, anyway, you
do your comparison shopping. Just there's a good chance that if you're using the same processor you've been using for years, or if you're using your bank, you're overpaying. So check out the different options that we just gave you and see what's best for you.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to leasing.
Oh man, your lease. Okay. Landlords love dentists for two reasons. The first reason is a great reason. One reason landlords love dentists is that our success rate, the odds of us staying in business, are better than just about any other tenant a landlord could possibly have. So if they've got a big space and they can get a dentist in there, or a pizza place, or dry cleaners, or anything else, chances are they're going to want the dentist, because we do have an incredible track record of not only staying in business, but being great tenants who pay on time. We're just good, honest, ethical people, at least 99.9% of us. So dentists are great tenants. But the other reason landlords love dentists is that we tend to be either too shy or not knowledgeable enough to really negotiate our lease. And this is something that many dentists don't know. And I was one of them. And I learned the hard way. When you're looking at space and the landlord hands you a lease, you don't have to accept those terms. There's a ton of negotiation you can do. So I'm going to recommend that you go to a professional lease negotiator. Now, there are lease negotiators that specialize in working with dentists. Google all you want, find the best lease negotiator for you, and they will do all the dirty work for you. They'll get you a lower rate. They might get you some real goodies like a few free months, a free build out, so all your walls are exactly where you need them in your treatment rooms. I mean, they can do wonders. I was just talking to a lease negotiator who works with a lot of dentists, and he told me that he discovered over a 10-year period, he saved most of his dental clients about $100,000. He showed me the data. This is not BS. I mean, if you're just getting a lease and signing it, you are overpaying and you're not taking advantage of all the benefits that your landlord would give you. So absolutely find a lease negotiator.
Yeah,
so
that's
lease
great
negotiators
advice.
charge a fee. Sure. Who pays the fee? The landlord. You don't pay it. As a matter of fact, when landlords set their fees, they know that a big company, like if a Chipotle's moving into your shopping center, they're going to have a lease negotiator, and they know it. So they put that money aside in order to pay the lease negotiator. So you don't have to pay anything, and you'll get a much better deal. And one quick thing before we move on to the next topic too, even if you've got a few years left in your lease, you can negotiate from scratch. Let's just say that you've got a 5-year lease and you've been there 3 years, there's 2 years left. You can go to your landlord and say, hey, I want to start from scratch and re-sign a new 5-year lease or a 7-year lease. And you'll get their attention, because now they're guaranteed you're going to be with them for 5 more years, not just 2 or 3 more years. So even if you're in the middle of your lease, you can kind of start from scratch and then still use a lease negotiator. So if you're leasing space, please, 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 please do this. Even you might not save 100,000, you might save 40,000. You're going to save real money, whatever
That's
it is.
awesome.
So
Great advice and out of the box thinking for sure.
Cool.
Love it. Okay, let's talk about quiet expenses, which this sounds like a really great blog title. So
yeah, quiet expenses is a term that Dave and Dave is my brother and my partner in the Madow Center. He's a dentist as well, as I told you. It's a term we came up with many years ago, and I'll just spend a minute on it. It's so simple, but we all have these expenses that are on our regular credit card bill, just regular rotation that we're paying month after month after month, and we kind of forget about them. And we just keep paying someone. I mean, there's probably somebody listening to this that's still paying for AOL. I mean, you see it all the time, right?
Yeah, I think
Katie, do you know what AOL was?
No, yes, I do. I do remember, but I especially, I mean, we're in the era of subscription-based modeling,
yes.
right? So I think often, there's some, I mean, it's even on my personal account, I'm like, why are we still paying for the subscription? Yeah.
Right, exactly. So business and personal, great thing you brought up. Go through your credit card statement, just look for quiet expenses, get rid of a few of them, and just move on with your life. That's all I want to say about
that. Awesome. Okay, we've got paid up front.
Yes.
This is the one that I love. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, and I'm going to take a slightly different tactic on this. Again, you should always be paid up front. I've written articles, I've done lectures on this. I'm not going to spend too much time on this point, and that is, yes, you should be paid up front. Yes, you can't be a bank. If you do whatever, the Crown's $1,500 at $750 now, $750 2 weeks later, you've just loaned a complete stranger $750. So don't do it. Make sure that you're always paid before or on the day the treatment begins. Again, that's a big topic that I don't want to get into right now, but kind of my subtopic there is part of getting paid up front is patient selection. Let's be a little bit pickier in who we treat. If somebody is got 15 red flags, if you've applied for Care Credit, for example, and Care Credit has said, no, we're not going to provide this patient with our healthcare credit card, you've just been told this patient's going to rip you off.
Right.
So remember that unless somebody is in severe pain, they're bleeding, they're swollen, they're dripping infectious, oozy pus all over the place, we are not obligated to treat every patient that walks in the door. We want to treat as many patients as we can, but you don't have to treat a patient who's going to screw you over and not pay.
Yeah.
So let's be really careful with our patient selection. Again, if 50% of the patients who walk in your door are being turned down, well, that's a big problem. We need to talk. But sometimes you need to look for those red flags and make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position where someone is going to wind up not paying you. And it all comes down to patient selection. Patient selection has a lot to do with our office happiness as well. You know, if you come in the morning and you see that name on the schedule, and when you see that name, the entire team goes back to the patient restroom and vomits in unison. You've got to think like, why is this person a patient in my practice, right?
Yeah.
So patient
Oh,
selection
I
is so
so
important.
agree. Yeah, that's just a peace of mind thing, right? Like if everyone's dreading, if you're dreading going into work just for one patient and it's ruining your entire day, yeah, I would say maybe think about releasing that patient.
Yeah, there's another practice that's better suited for that
Yeah,
patient.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, this one's a hot topic right now. Teams
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll preface this by saying we are not the kind of coaches and consultants that go into an office and immediately say, "You got to fire Jeanette." We just don't do that.
That's good because they probably can't afford to fire Jeanette right now.
Well, yes and no. Let's talk
Maybe.
about that.
Yeah.
They can't. You're so right. And you know, this is an era that we've never seen anything like this before, where there's such a shortage of great team members, and team members, you know, kind of have us where they want us, so to speak, in so many ways, because they know that it's tough to replace them. But on the other hand, you can't let the tail wag the dog. And I've seen so many instances where either I'll go into a practice or I'll just have an initial chat with the dentist, and they'll say, you know what, this one team member is driving us nuts. So really think about, if you've got, hopefully this doesn't apply to you at all, and I'm really hoping it doesn't.
Yeah.
But if you've got a team member who is always rocking the boat, being a gossip, a backstabber, an entitled person, somebody that has to be the teacher's pet or the doctor's pet, so to speak, and everybody else is miserable around this person, as much as you cannot afford to lose a team member these days, you're so much better off without that person. Now, I'm not saying go in tomorrow and start firing people. No, 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 no. Have a really good, sincere talk with this team member. Let them know that, hey, things need to change around here. Let's become more positive. Here are some things you can do to become a better member of our team. And let's work on this. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. And, you know, do everything you can to get that person on the bus, so to speak. But if after all your efforts, that person just does not have a seat on your bus for whatever reason, I'm going to say I'd rather be short-staffed than have somebody who's insubordinate and sabotaging our practice. And I know that our theme today is how to cut overhead. You will be amazed how much an insubordinate, sabotaging queen bee team member costs you in ways that you don't even know, because they bring everybody else down. They lower your production. They lower your treatment plan acceptance. They lower your staff morale. They give you more sick time and all these expenses you have to pay for just because of the way they're being destructive in your practice. So if you have a person like that, and docs, if you're in this situation, you know who you are. Let's do our best to get this person on the bus. But if you can't, I'm going to say pull over to the side of the road, open that bus door, and kick their butt out in the nicest, most loving way possible.
Whoa, man. Well, that's some great advice. And I think a lot of people are feeling that, you know, the pressure to just keep whoever they can because they need warm bodies. But there's a lot of data that supports what you just said, that team members that aren't on the bus, as you say, definitely can bring down a lot of profitability in your practice. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about the last one, which is advice from an accountant.
Yeah, I've gotten over the years just incredible advice from my accountant. And I know we all have accountants, hopefully CPAs, who are doing our book, so to speak, giving us advice, as far as expenses, tax advice, what can be written off, when to purchase things, when not to purchase things, how to handle your retirement, all those great things. But there are accountants who specialize in working with dental practices. And you may love your accountant may be fantastic, and there's probably, maybe no reason to switch. But if you are thinking that maybe your accountant's not giving you all the advice they possibly can to lower your expenses, lower your taxes, put away the most for retirement, all those things, I would seek out an accountant who specializes in dental practices because, again, your accountant may be a great CPA, but if they've got 3 restaurants and 2 dry cleaners and
Yeah.
1 mom and pop business and 1 dental practice, well, they can't possibly know the nuances of owning and running a dental practice, what your overhead should be. They can't help you analyze, should I be, a member of this PPO and this and that. And a really sharp accountant who specializes in dentistry can do all these things. So I'm going to say, if you're not sure if you're working with the right accountant, you might try to interview a few more. And then once you find your dream accountant, it's time to say, I want to have a discussion. I want to do a full mouth reconstruction analysis of my dental practice. And as boring and tedious as it may be, you only have to do it once a year. Let's go through everything and see what we can cut, see where we can help add to our retirement plan, how we can take advantage of some tax savings, all these things. It's just worth it. Utilize your great accountant's knowledge the best you can.
I love that advice, and partially because I'm maybe you may or may not know, but Dental Intelligence was started by 2 accountants.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So this is I mean, not to say that your account is gonna start an analytics software for dental companies, but my dad and my brother are dentists, and I use their accountant, and he has a lot of dentists, and there definitely is a difference between an accountant that works with dental practices and knows that not only the nuances of running practice, but like healthcare and all of the tax breaks that are there. So for sure, I love that.
Huge stuff. Great.
It's good. Well, our last 2 questions I'm going to blend into one because I really think that they are. When I talked to your oh my gosh, I forgot her name now. Sweet lady that works for you.
Oh, Sylvia.
Sylvia, thank you.
Yeah.
She was talking about how much fire you put into helping dentists love dentistry again. And one of the last question that we ask every single one of our practices is, what does growth in dentistry mean to you? And that's because dental intelligence, growth is everything. And it means something different to everyone. And so I'd love to know, what does it mean to you?
What does growth in dentistry mean to me?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's a tough and a broad question and a great question. Thanks so much for asking that. I'll say, since this is a dental intelligence podcast, of course, when we think about growth in dentistry, we think about our KPIs. So it certainly means growing your revenues and lowering your overhead and doing all those things. So you can earn as much as possible. Your team can earn as much as possible, do those beautiful bonuses and fun holiday dinners and all those things we like to do. Growth also means growing your clinical skills, because I think if you're a dentist, I have a saying sometimes, I'll say there are some dentists who practice for 25 years, and there are some dentists who will practice for 1 year 25 times over. And you do not want to be that dentist. So it's just really important for you, not just for the health of your patients, but for your own personal satisfaction, to always be learning the best and the greatest clinical skills. It doesn't mean you have to spend a fortune on equipment, but feel like you're doing the best service for your patient clinically. But true growth, wow, what does true growth mean? When we work with a practice, we never come in and say, okay, now, entire team, we're going to work on making Dr. Madow more money, because that's just such a turnoff. And even though that is growth, to us, growth means getting your patients as healthier as you possibly can. If your patients are healthy, if they're saying yes to the great treatment that you can provide, then your practice is healthier. If your practice is healthier, it's going to become more profitable. So true growth is having the best, healthiest pool of patients you possibly can. But also, I think true growth in dentistry comes from us as well. And a lot of it has to do with our gratitude. Are you full of gratitude? Do you ever realize, just step back for a second and think, I'm a dentist, I'm a dental team member. there's just more to it than showing up for work and grinding molars every day. I mean, we do amazing things. We help people get out of pain. We help them smile better, chew better, kiss better, all these fun things in life we're such a big part of. And when you see somebody like walking around like the diner waitress I had yesterday morning with calculus and gingivitis, it's just disgusting. And our patients don't have to live like that. We make them healthier orally and throughout their entire body. So I think growth in dentistry means having the healthiest patients around and being really grateful for what we have to do. I have this little ritual every day. I have a moment of gratitude. I live in a mid-rise condo building in downtown Baltimore, right on the harbor. And every morning, no matter what the weather is, I step out on my balcony, hopefully with a cup of hot coffee, and for about 5 minutes, just look around and think, you know what? I'm so grateful that I get to live in a beautiful place. And it doesn't mean you have to have a balcony overlooking the harbor. Let's face it, if you're living in the first world, you're living in a beautiful place. I don't care
Yeah.
where you live, you're living
Yeah.
in a beautiful place.
Not only,
So,
yeah, I mean, this podcast is heard across internationally, but I feel like the fact that we chose dentistry in general, right? Like it's such a wonderful, wonderful profession that we get to be a part of.
We get to be a part of it, and we should love it every single day. So let's be grateful for what we get to do. And I think that's a part of growth. Am I allowed to say when we're recording this? I don't know how evergreen you want this to be, but
you go.
Because I just want to tell a quick story that really helped, I think, me enjoy my practice more. And it kind of comes back to team as well. So we're recording this right around what people traditionally call the holiday time. It doesn't matter what holidays you participate in, or maybe you don't participate in any holidays. But as the year comes to an end, when it's around New Year's, traditionally we'll have our office party, our staff party, whatever you want to call it. So many years ago, at the Madow Center, we were having our annual holiday party, and Dave and I rented. I don't know if we rented it. We had this private room in this big fancy steakhouse downtown, and we had about 20 of our team there, which was our team, and a big oval table. And Dave and I got there early. And we got there early because we're putting out place cards. Now, why are we putting out place cards? Well, one reason is because we have a little individual gift for each person. But the real reason we were putting out place cards is because as we're doing it, we're saying, oh, well, geez, Sally can't sit next to Ashley because they don't get along. And Harriet can't sit next to Bernadette because they'll just be gossiping and backstabbing and telling private jokes the whole time. And I'm not sitting next to Linda. I can't stand her. And we're doing that. And then we looked at each other and saying, like, why are we doing this? Why do we have an office where we have to work with people and you've got to enjoy coming in every day? It's so important to your gratitude and to your practice growth to enjoy being around your work family. And we said, why do we have to put out place cards? It's because our team doesn't get along. And we said, and we're going to institute something now called the seating chart rule. And the seating chart rule means that whenever we interview somebody now for a new position, they have to be the kind of person that anybody at the office, me included, my brother Dave included, would love to sit next to at the annual holiday dinner. Does it mean we're going to go on ski vacations with this person and stay in the same lodge? No, you don't have to be like actual, real, personal buddies. That could actually be problematic. But you certainly need to enjoy the company of every single person you work with. And the seating chart rule was born. And it involved, unfortunately, maybe having a few people step off the bus and having some new people take their place. But our goal was fulfilled. Within 2 years, we showed up for the holiday dinner, no place cards. Everybody had a great time. And that was the way it was in the office every single day because we all truly, truly enjoyed each other's company. So I think when you talk about practice growth, personal growth, doing the best things for our patients, seating chart rule is really
we
important.
spend so much time, I mean, more time with our work team than we do with our family when you are in your working years. And it's important to not dread going to work because of the people that you surround yourself with. And if you are the owner and the dentist, you have control over that. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like you do, but you do.
You're not kidding, but you do, believe it or not.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to join the show and give some awesome advice. If people want to get a hold of you or use your services, how can they do that?
Oh, thanks so much for asking. Well, first of all, my personal email address is rich, RICH, at Madow, MADOW.com. So you can email me anything, rich@madow.com, and I answer every single email. Our company website is madow.com, of course, madow.com. So go there, check it out, browse around, have fun. If you want to have a personal chat with me, if you are a practice owner, you've got to be a practice owner, you can access my calendar. Just go to madow.com/chat and schedule a time. We'll get on a Zoom. We'll chat about anything you want. I'd love to meet dentists from all over North America. It's a blast.
Awesome.
And again, I'll chat with anyone. So
Perfect.
email me, rich@madow.com. Go to our website, madow.com. If you want to add the /chat to it, you can access my calendar.
Awesome. I'll make sure that those links are also in our show notes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Richard Madow. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to our marketing department for all their work on this show. This has been Growth in Dentistry. I'm Katie Poulsen. Keep growing.